Mhm.
You had talked about symbolic momentum when it comes to finding flow and finding synchronicity. Can you speak a little bit more about that? Symbolic momentum?
Symbolic momentum can be pictured as this apple tree. We started talking in the beginning about an apple tree of choices that we make. Each branch is a different choice or a different set of experiences that unfolds. And the apples are those experiences which line up with a certain anticipated experience or expectation that we have. When we make choices with something in mind, we have an intention. Say we're looking for a new job and we make choices to revise our resume. We spend a week looking at our resume carefully, going through it carefully, sending it out for feedback. That's essentially setting targets on this tree, setting apples up on this tree on experiences in which that resume, well, how do I put it? It's targeting those experiences in which we're successful at what we're trying to accomplish in our intention. So revising our resume is simply an act that illustrates our intention to be successful at getting a job. And so the apples that get placed on the tree are those in which we have success or we feel success in that search. It may be getting the job that we have in mind, or it may be getting a different job, or it may be realizing we don't want a job and we want to be a stay-at-home parent. But it's the apples are the expectation that we will fulfill our quest. So the branches of the tree that in which we fulfill our quest are the ones that get the apples. Now, those are spotted throughout the tree, right? Of all the choices we can make, it's hard to know how we're going to get to the outcome we want. So if there's a part of the tree that has a lot of apples, it would be nice to get in that direction on the tree so that we can experience those fulfillments. And by investing ourselves, by revising our resume, by sending it out to a number of people, by going to job interviews, by talking to friends and neighbors about looking for work, these are all things that are highlighting the same apples. They keep saying, the apples I want are this experience of fulfillment with my job. And gradually that moves me closer and closer to this part of the tree with more apples. On day one, I might be at the bottom of a tree that has apples sort of spread out. On day 7, I might be over here on this part of the tree where there's a lot more apples. And if I go back again to what we did earlier of counting the branches and saying, now there's 8 branches and 4 of them have apples, I've got a 50% chance of getting a fulfillment. Whereas before I might have had 20 branches and only 4 of them had apples. And so that's like a 20% chance or something like that. So by moving in the direction of my intention, I'm increasing the likelihood of getting the experience I want because I'm moving to a part of the tree where there's more of those experiences that I want to have.
I see. The closer you get to the branch that has apples, the higher the probabilistic outcome is.
That's right.
It's essentially what you're saying. So
That's right.
take the first step. There may be 8 different paths, and then take the next step, maybe 4 different paths, and the next step after that, maybe 2 paths, and then now all of a sudden you have a 50-50 chance to get the apple that you want.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, and you may not realize you've built all this momentum, right? You might have been working on trying to get a job for 6 months. You're starting to get frustrated and lose energy. You've sent out resumes, you've done interviews, and you don't realize that you're actually surrounded by a bunch of apples that are likely to come true soon if you keep the momentum up. Momentum in physics is this idea that once something's in motion, it keeps moving in that same motion unless you stop it. So this comes back to developing a practice of action, staying with the action of whatever that looks like, investing in training for myself or sending out resumes or talking to people about work. And keeping that momentum up means keep investing in the actions that are relevant, and then trusting that you're letting go of the attachment to a particular outcome and trusting that the one will fall in your lap at some point.
Finish your thought.
Well, and being able to see it, because we might be attached to it looking a certain way, but actually the opportunity that comes is not at that company we're thinking about. It's at this other place or with this other person that we hadn't even considered.